Hello, everyone, and welcome to the WWEMA quarterly update. My name is Travis Kennedy, publisher here at Water Online, and I am happy to bring this gentleman into your living room, into your computer, into your office. We are going to be doing a number of updates throughout the next year, and a lot of these are going to be focused on how we associate and reach out to our membership, how we expand WWEMA's engagement with our members, and even those that are not members yet but should be. We're going to focus a lot of these efforts on educating members and even some of the non-members out there that are perfect fits for WWEMA on the benefits that WWEMA can offer their organizations. And here to tell us more and joining me in this conversation is none other than the chairman of WWEMA for 2025, Mr. Jay Conroy, president of Hydrodyne Engineering. Jay, thank you for joining us. Welcome to the update.
Thank you so much, Travis. Happy to be here and to represent what I think really is a great organization. So let's jump into it. Lots of stuff to cover.
Let's do it. I mean, there's a lot to cover, as you just mentioned. One of the big things that I'd like to start with is what just occurred just a month ago in Scottsdale, Arizona. WWEMA had their annual meeting, which was an amazing event over 3 or 4 days. A lot of good information, a lot of good guest speakers, a lot of benefit to the companies that were able to attend. What were some of the big news items coming out of that meeting?
Yeah, it really was great. I mean, I've gotten to go to a few of these now, and I'm pretty sure this was the record attendance that we've ever had at. So a ton of people came out there. I think we had over 90 members, and then various speakers and staff and support. We covered things, a lot of different topics that we can get into here, but we had people from WWEMA, WEF, EPA provided updates. We did some question and answer during our leg reg meetings and the developments that are going on in DC right now. We had an overview of an economic forecast. We talked a little bit about AI and how that's being used in our industry and in manufacturing, cybersecurity. And then some of the big highlights and speakers that we had there, the US EPA Inspector General discussed the current and future plans for BABA and some of the compliance and enforcement there. And then we also had a good bit of talk with the FBI, which was kind of interesting that some of us ate breakfast with them to see that pop up on your agenda for the day as a meeting with the FBI. But
how crazy was that? How crazy was it to start your day having breakfast with the FBI? You weren't worried, were you?
A little bit, like a security detail that follows them around. So it's maybe my first experience going to a meeting of people that know a good bit more about you and you don't know anything about them. But ended up that the gentleman with the FBI, who was, I think he was the acting deputy director, Timothy Dunham, spoke about a bunch of things, but the guy was very engaged, super intelligent, very nice guy too. To have a security detail and have someone who was that engaging and personable was pretty interesting. But he stayed and was involved throughout the day in all of our meetings, paying attention and asking questions and very active. But, we had some conversations with him about what the FBI is doing with regards to cybersecurity and then how that can help WWEMA members and people within our industry, but particularly WWEMA members from the federal and national level, not just at the local levels.
I mean, there's a lot covered there, especially as you talk about cybersecurity. Certainly that's at least in the front of mind of those companies, manufacturers, solutions providers in the water and wastewater market, because it is a big topic. And other topics that were covered were BABA, PFAS, all kinds of issues that are at AI is another one, all kinds of issues that are at the forefront of the minds of those that serve the market from a solution standpoint. So there's a lot of benefit to those that were able to attend, and they learned a lot. I know I did, a lot of good information there that you can only find at WWEMA. So one of the other exciting things coming out of that meeting just last month, I know I was really excited about it, is, and I know as an industry, we've talked about the silver tsunami on the municipality side, on the engineering side, but also on the solutions provider side, right? There's a lot of very talented young talent coming in to the marketplace on the solutions provider side and the manufacturing side. So what can you tell us about the program that WWEMA has started in 2024 around those professionals?
Yeah, I think this is something that's really exciting, Travis. So WWEMA has started what we're calling the Emerging Leader Program. And it's just it's an opportunity and an effort to engage young leaders within our member organizations to become a bigger part and role within WWEMA, but also within our industry. And so we had our inaugural meeting, first one that we've had actually, and there were 14 attendees as part of that meeting, which I think is a darn good start to what I think is going to be a really effective program within WEMA. And so the program's goal really is to cultivate and develop employees and their leadership potential, not only at their organizations, but really within the industry as well. And I think WEMA's plans are to continue this. We've seen some good traction to start with, but we're going to be doing meetings prior to our Washington Forum, an annual meeting that are going to include different trainings and webinars and hopefully some Capitol Hill visits as well when we do the DC Forum and other relative activities. And then throughout the year, maintaining contact with those participants within that program to keep them engaged in WEMA and help them with their networking as well. I think that's one of the big things that WEMA provides, and a lot of us enjoy is the ability to network with others in our industry and kind of sharing the misery and then also in the successes of what we've had and learn a little bit from the collective effort.
It's certainly great to have them as part of the membership of WEMA. And I know that there's some exciting news coming out of the meeting regarding WEMA's membership growth. If I'm not mistaken, I believe in 2024, WEMA now has as many members as it's ever had. I could be mistaken on that, but I believe it's at a record size
Oh,
of
that's right. Yeah.
participating companies. I think it's amazing because there are so many benefits that you can only get exclusively as part of the association. And when I say the association, of course, I'm talking about WEMA. So what can you tell us about the membership growth and in the engagement that has happened over the past year and what's going to be happening here in the beginning of 2025?
Yeah, I mean, it really is great. I mean, you're right. We do have record membership now, and also participation. So we've got over 100 member companies right now, which is more than
Great.
we've ever had. And then within those companies, we have more people active. So there's a lot more outreach and a lot more engagement, and I think that's what's helping our organization grow. But I think it's what makes us stronger. So we're pushing to add more members that kind of fit the profiles within our industry that we're trying to target. And then also associate members as well, because I think collectively, the more that we have, the more that we can do, and the more that we can offer to our membership. We're working on retaining that membership growth as well by doing things like this video where we're explaining kind of what the organization's doing and some of the progress that we're making, but also ongoing communications through weekly updates through NAM, the National Association of Manufacturers, doing timely leverage updates, just implementing different monthly organizational updates that we've done within the organization that I think help everyone understanding kind of what we're doing and then what we're working towards.
I mean, as a centralized place for manufacturers to go to learn how to do what they do better and how they can make their business better. The benefits to their business specifically are numerous and are tough to cover in just one video. I mean, it can be anything from how to negotiate contracts, how to work with rep firms, how to market and how to market your company, how to go through a sales cycle, all of those types of things. And that sort of relates to the Emerging Leaders Program and being able to help educate them on those aspects of the market. But also it is a one-stop resource for how manufacturers can better their business. So there's countless ways that WEMA participates in that. One of the other things that WEMA is known for, in addition to that, is on the legislative and regulatory side. So let's bring everybody up to date on what WEMA's been up to over the past year, or at least in the past quarter, since the last time we've done an update on what specifically WEMA's done on the legislative and regulatory side of things. So what can you say about that?
Yeah, sure. I think what's dominated our discussions on this topic over the last couple of years are things like BABA and PFAS.
Without
So
a doubt.
those have been hot topics within the industry, but definitely within WEMA and what we're working on in legislative and regulatory aspects of our organization. But from the BABA update standpoint of things, we have it as an organization held several webinars and did a summit last year out in Denver, or this year out in Denver. And then we're planning on having a follow-up webinar here early next year. I think we're looking at a little bit after, January 20th or maybe shortly thereafter to have an update on what kits, and then how that's going to impact things like control panels for meeting BABA compliance. WEMA has also really helped out on the individual company level. My company and a lot of other companies as well have had some one-on-one meetings with people with WEMA or with people within the EPA or OMB that WEMA has set up conversations with. And I think that sort of personal interaction and approach is really great when you have super specific questions that you're trying to figure out, hey, how does my product comply, or what challenges do I have in making compliance without having to speak in big, broad, general terms. So I think it's really nice to kind of have that one-on-one sort of white glove service, I guess. And I think what we're hearing from the EPA is that they're really interested in talking to us directly, which was honestly, it was kind of a shock to me when I first started talking to them, because I thought, we're just, a little company within the industry. What does the EPA care about us? But they really are, and they're real people. And Tim Connors and some of his team are really nice people and super engaged in wanting to learn more about our companies, and even planning to try to make manufacturing facility visits. So if you're interested in hosting one of those, you can certainly reach out to Claudio or any of the rest of us on the WEMA team, and we'll set you up with the EPA. But they're trying to get out in the field and go to factories and see how stuff's made, and then see what sort of challenges different organizations are having in meeting the definitions of BABA compliance.
I mean, it's amazing to think that to do something like that, to have that kind of connection, that personal touch alongside the EPA through WEMA is really something that boggles the mind, in the sense that it'd be very difficult to do that without the connection point that WEMA provides. So it'd be
Oh,
very, right?
honestly, I think it would be impossible, because you just there's so many people within the government, within the EPA. You don't even know where to start. And not only does WEMA help you know where to start, it'll help set up that meeting and the introduction to get things going within days, as opposed to taking maybe months to research and then find out that that person's not in that role anymore.
Without a doubt. And I mean, other things that you had touched on briefly there, PFAS, for instance, that has dominated the headlines alongside BABA, but on the user side, on the municipality side, consulting engineering side, water company side, PFAS and all of the potential details coming out about CERCLA. Like, there's a lot of moving parts here that's very difficult to stay up to date with, because it changes so frequently. And one of the benefits that WEMA has provided its members is keeping you up to date on that kind of stuff.
Well, I think as we're starting to get kind of the guide rails on BABA and understand a bit what that means and how it impacts us, I feel like PFAS is on the other end of that spectrum, where it's this big, ugly, hairy monster that we're all trying to figure out how's it going to impact us. And so I think WEMA has done a really good job to help collaborate with other organizations in our industry, advocating some of this legislation to address how potential CERCLA or Superfund liability that's going to impact manufacturers, just as we touch this stuff. So as it's written right now, my understanding is that if you're touching PFAS, you're involved in it, and if it's defined as a hazardous material, you start getting tracked on that manifest. And for those of us who have equipment in water and wastewater treatment plants, everybody's touching it. So being active within WEMA and also within our government to help try to define this stuff to keep those liabilities reasonable, it doesn't benefit our society even to attach those liabilities to manufacturers if there's this big threat of getting involved in the solution is going to put you in the crosshairs of the liability. So I think WEMA's done a good job. I know before our DC forum last year, they lined up several congressional visits in the offices and up on the Hill that a few of us attended. And it was really kind of eye-opening seeing how Congress and government works, to help influence some of those things and explain to them that, hey, we're here to solve these problems, but we don't want to touch it if we're gonna get wrapped up in the liability of generating this stuff, when we're really here just trying to remove and treat it.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's another example of how difficult is that going to be, or would that be, if you didn't have the association with WEMA? I mean,
I don't even know how you would begin to approach those sort
Right.
of
Where
things.
would you even start? That's
Right.
just one of the many benefits that WEMA brings to the table. And you had mentioned there as you were talking about PFAS, the Washington Forum that took place last year. So I want to sort of turn our attention to 2025. All the answers seem to lie in the future, no matter what topic we're talking about and what industry. But the Washington Forum 2025, that is going to happen in April. What can you tell us about what we should be looking forward to in that regard?
Yeah, I think the annual meeting is more focused, at least in my mind, of within your companies and different challenges that we all address. Whereas the Washington Forum is really focused on what's going on in the industry and regulations and that sort of thing. So I'm sure that and that will be our next in-person meeting will be at the Washington Forum, but that's our annual legislative and regulatory meeting where we're talking about policy and we're having meetings that really directly connect the members within our organization with leaders in the industry and government. And so I mentioned last year we had visits up on the Hill. I expect we'll do some more of those. We'll be meeting with members of Congress. We'll be meeting with federal agencies. As I mentioned, we've kind of gotten more involved with the FBI and the EPA. I'm certain we'll be involved in the Washington Forum. We're still working on the hotel and the agenda information for that meeting, so we'll get that published on our website and out in some emails. But the dates to block off on the calendar will be April 9th through 11th, and that's next year, and it will be in Washington, D.C. as we hold it every year.
It sounds like the Washington Forum has a lot planned already, and we're still 4 months away. So 4 or 5 months away. So there's a lot to look forward to. And I think you said it best when it comes to the in-person meetings for members of WWEMA. There's two different approaches. One is in the annual meeting towards the end of the year, it's more inward facing, right? What challenges do companies face internally? Some of the issues and all the challenges that manufacturers have in common for the most part, and there are quite a few, and how to address those. Whereas the Washington Forum is all outward facing for the most part. So what can we talk about and what challenges are out there and what can we forecast from a regulatory and legislative standpoint that gives manufacturers a heads up and almost a preview of what they can expect and how they can plan better for the future. So both have their benefits, and I'm really excited about the Washington Forum. I think that there's a lot we're going to be able to cover and help manufacturers in the industry do their job better and help serve the market better.
Well, and I think that's really what's great about both of those, and maybe WEMA in general is you mentioned the heads up, and that's what we're all looking for, right? Is we know these challenges and opportunities are coming down the barrel at us, so the sooner we can be thinking about it and be introduced to them and start working on how we're going to adapt and make the most of that situation for better or worse, but to be able to react a little bit more time in front of it and getting that heads up early on really is an advantage. And I think that's what, going to the Washington Forum is going to show you what's coming down the pike when it comes to regulations. And then also from the annual meeting aspect, kind of what we're looking at within our companies to start to prepare and work on.
Yeah, there's so many exciting things happening in WEMA world that we could go another hour to 2 hours to talk about all of them and more in depth. But we want to keep this digestible for everybody. So we are going to have to save some of this for the next quarterly update that will happen in the beginning of 2025. But Jay, thank you for joining us here. Looking forward to welcoming you back in another couple of months. We can talk about what Q2 in 2025 is going to look like for those members of WEMA. And if anybody needs more information on WEMA and how you can become a part of it, or if you're already a part of it and would like more information on some of the topics we covered today, please feel free to reach out to WEMA through their website. They'd be more than happy to help you. They are a great team. All of them are fantastic to work with, very welcoming, and very helpful to anybody that has any questions or would like to learn more about WEMA. So for all of us that are part of WEMA, we want to thank you for spending your time here with us, and we will see you in the next quarter.